Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Astăzi ne aflăm la CES Las Vegas, la standul Ford, unde ne sunt prezentate tehnologii interesante din industria auto. Vorbim despre mașina care se conduce singură, nu încă, în viitorul apropiat, dar este un prototip foarte interesant. What is the near future and future for autonomous vehicle for Ford?
Well, we're standing in front of one of our cars. It's the car that's capable of being a fully autonomous car, level 4 autonomy. It's just one of a fleet of cars that we have right now, one of 10. In the near future, we're going to expand that fleet to 30 cars. So we're going to triple the size of our fleet. It's going to help us do the algorithm development for advancing the technology for autonomous driving.
But right now this doesn't look like a car that could be driven on the road. So when would that happen for Ford?
So what you're looking at right now is what we use as our research platform. Again, it's what we use to develop the algorithms that advance the autonomous capability. Now, as we progress, we're going to start moving those sensors that you see on top. We're going to start hiding those around the vehicle. What you're seeing right there is a second generation of a LiDAR sensor. The first generation was quite a bit bigger, sat in the middle of the roof. We've gone to the second generation that's on this vehicle, and some of our newer vehicles will have a third generation that's even smaller yet, and we're starting to explore other designs and other placements of the sensors that would incorporate a little more aesthetics into the vehicle. So the 4 sensors you see on top of the car are LiDAR sensors. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging. It works very much like radar, but in this case it uses lasers instead of radio waves. So what's happening is each of those 4 cans has 32 lasers in it. Those lasers are spread out in kind of a fan beam, and they spin around, and so you've got 128 lasers that are being shot around the area here to develop the picture that you're seeing on the monitor above. What we're showing there is a real-time display of the way the car is seeing the world around it, and that's how it knows what's around it. That's how it knows what environment it's in, how it identifies the pedestrians, identifies the bicyclists or other vehicles, is through the use of that LiDAR. And the display up there, you'll see people walking around and they'll be waving to themselves. Well, that's them seeing the way the car is seeing them.
Sistemul uplink prin care putem conecta telefonul mobil la mașină și rula anumite aplicații direct în sistemul multimedia. Can you tell me a few things about uplink?
Yes, so AppLink is our way of connecting mobile applications that run on the phone to the vehicle. Everything is ran on the phone. For an Android device, it is connected through Bluetooth, and for an iPhone, it's connected through IAP or IAB2, a USB cable.
If I have an Android or iPhone device, I can connect to the car and some apps will run on the car.
Correct. We have some of them here today. We have Glimpse, Domino's, AAA, MLB, Radio Disney, Pandora, Spotify. So the user just downloads those apps from the Play Store or the App Store, and then it just works.
If you can explain me, like to a normal user, how would Glimpse, for example, work on the car?
Glimpse is an app that users can do to notify another user of their location. So you can send it a glimpse to notify maybe your wife or your friend where you are at a point in time, and then they can follow you and your route if they accept your glimpse.
So I don't have to use my phone to operate this application. I can just do it on the touch screen of the car.
Correct. That's what AppLink gives you, is that you can use voice commands and the HMI and the steering wheel controls to control the app. So the other thing about AppLink is that we can have non-media and media apps.
So I can listen to online radio and order a pizza at the same time.
Correct.
Sistemul de car sharing, adică închirierea mașinii pe o perioadă scurtă de timp, este în testare în Londra și sperăm să ajungă și în România cât de curând.
We've got a service in London called Go Drive, which is one of our global mobility experiments. So we've got several experiments that are looking around shared use, shared ownership, and this is one that we've got running a live service in London. So we launched a service last year, and we've got 25 vehicles currently on the streets of London, located at 25 locations across the city, and those vehicles are available for shared use. So people can sign up to the service, and it's completely on-demand service, app-based service. They book a car when they want one, and they use the app to reserve, unlock the car. They get in the car, there's no keys, they just press the start button, it's very easy, and then they just bring the car back when they're ready. They don't tell us how long they're going to have the car for, they just return it when they're ready, and then it will be available for the next user. Half the fleet, we've got a petrol EcoBoost, and half the fleet are electrics, and as well as learning about how people are using the vehicles, people's perceptions to the scheme, the service, how we've laid it out. We're also learning a lot about people's attitudes towards the petrol versus the electric vehicles, and how they're using those vehicles as part of the service.
So what's the feedback you've got until now?
So we've had very positive feedback around numerous areas, but initially, I guess, around the flexibility. People really like flexibility of the service, you know, not having to say when they're going to bring the car back, not having the stress of a potential late return fee or anything like that. So they can also do one-way journeys, so they can pick up from one location and drop off at another. So we've really tried to make the experience as flexible and to fit into people's lifestyles as much as possible. So we had very good feedback about that. Another thing that we have by offering the hub-based system is that we have a guaranteed parking space at the end. So when you book your car, you also reserve your parking space. And we learnt early on actually around cities that one major anxiety is actually where you're going to park at the end of your rental. And when you're paying for a car, you know, for the time you use, you don't want to be circling around looking for a parking space. So we've had very good feedback on that. And also the cars themselves, you know, people have been really impressed with the vehicles, particularly the electric vehicles, where maybe some of the preconceptions were, you know, they weren't really sure, they thought it might be complicated or difficult to drive or slow, and actually just been really impressed with how easy it is to drive, how quick and suitable for the city it is, and that it's exactly the same driving experience as a petrol vehicle.
So it's biting a bit from the car rental market.
To some degree, but we see the use cases actually quite different. Car rental is typically for sort of a longer term rental, maybe a few days or a week rental, where people are using car sharing more for shorter rentals, and actually more as a substitute to private car ownership in the way they would use their personal cars, you know, versus car rentals, which are much more like if you go to a new place for a week and have a car for the whole time. So we see the use cases actually as quite different.
So for car sharing, what are the Ford's plans of expanding this service to the rest of Europe?
It's really too early to say. We're still experimenting with GoDrive. We've got some new areas that we're looking at this year. So in this month actually we're starting exploring on-street parking as well as off-street parking. And we're also doing a lot of research around multimodal, so how people are using car sharing as part of multimodal journeys.
What can you tell me about this Ford bike concept? It's an e-bike, right?
So, you know, as you know, like in urban areas, the ever-increasing demand on just the transportation system overall. So through the Ford Smart Mobility program, what we're really trying to do is look at how can a combination of services like car sharing, e-bikes, public transit can provide like daily commuting solutions for people. So in this particular case, you have this foldable e-bike on the back of a Ford electric vehicle, which is part of a GoDrive car sharing service that we are piloting in the UK. And the reason for doing that is in a lot of like urban situations, just traveling through just one mode of service or one mode of travel is not sufficient. So having such sort of a modular transportation is extremely viable and beneficial.
Încă o tehnologie interesantă vine din colaborarea dintre Ford și Amazon. În curând ne vom putea controla mașina din casă și casa din mașină, toate prin comenzi vocale. Spre exemplu, din casă putem să aflăm cât de lung a fost ultimul drum pe care l-am făcut cu mașina sau câtă benzină mai avem în rezervor. Din mașină putem să pornim sau să oprim lumina din casă sau să dăm drumul la aerul condiționat. Să nu mai spunem că putem să deschidem și ușa de la garaj când ne apropiem de casă. Dar, din păcate, sistemul Alexa de la Amazon este momentan disponibil doar în Statele Unite, așa că mai avem puțin de așteptat.
Have you